We close in on another Veterans Day. We're reminded of the sacrifice of the men and women in uniform and all the amazing stories they have. Unfortunately, many of these stories will never be heard. A Bixby man and his friend are doing their part to tell as many of these old stories as possible in a new way.
Guadalcanal is one of the Solomon Islands.
If there's anyone who has a pulse of the U.S. veteran, it's Ryan Fairfield and his buddy Tony Lupo.
We have done right around 190 interviews in total between the two of us.
Fairfield and Lupo have recorded the nearly 200 compelling first-person accounts of war in the almost 20 years they volunteer for the Library of Congress.
We believe there is no bad story, that every veteran, regardless of what they did during the war, has an amazing story to tell.
Now they're telling these old stories in a new way.
He didn't really describe that he was really into radio intelligence. We've got plenty of material. We've got the equipment to do it. Let's go ahead and try this. And so we launched in September, just about 6 weeks ago.
On this day, the two are working on their latest podcast episode inside Fairfield's renovated barn. Their podcast is called The Warrior Next Door.
We wanted to get a little bit of dirt or mud on our boots. We wanted to interview and collect the stories of the everyday common GI.
The Warrior Next Door shares stories like the one told by a former Tulsan World War II veteran, Harvey Hunt.
He was in the Marine Corps during World War II, landed on 4 Pacific islands. He landed on Kwajalein, Saipan, Tinian, and Iwo Jima.
2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning when they started counterattacking. And it's true, the officers get their sabers out and they all yell, "Banzai, banzai."
He was evacuating a wounded officer with other men and got wounded, evacuating wounded.
Yeah.
And he got shot in the face.
What it did, it shattered my teeth and drove it into the upper part of my mouth and into my cheeks. And
What's going through your mind when you got shot? What were you thinking?
how to get back to that aid station.
No kidding.
So you have quite the passion to tell the stories of the veterans. One of Fairfield's uncles, a Marine, died in Vietnam.
He was actually killed in a friendly fire incident in Vietnam.
He's collected his uniform, Purple Heart, and flag, as well as his story. And his wife's grandfather was in World War II.
And he fought at the Battle of the Bulge and was captured in Wiltz, Luxembourg. And so this is his uniform, actually, and we've got a number of things he brought back from World War II.
That passion can now be heard to reach a new generation.
It makes me feel honored that they trusted me enough to allow them to share in some way and record that experience.
To tell the stories that many have never heard, so no one will ever forget.
There are many times that we interview veterans where at the end of the interview, they'll tell us with the camera off, "I haven't told anybody this stuff."
Well, I've listened to this podcast, and it's so engaging to hear these stories from the veterans themselves. You can find The Warrior Next Door wherever podcasts are heard, such as Spotify, iTunes, or Google Play.